Sri Jayadev Galla.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Sir, I feel that it would be inconclusive and incomplete if we start discussing sustainable development goals without touching on the progress that we have made in implementation of the Millennium Development Goals. I'm saying this because MDGs and SDGs are intertwined, and the SDGs are built on top of the MDGs as they aim for inclusive growth. Sir, on the one hand, I'm happy because you have given me an opportunity to speak on this important subject. But on the other, I'm deeply anguished that even after becoming a part of the MDGs framework in 2000 and implementing it for nearly 15 years, we are still languishing and struggling to achieve even the basic minimum goals. Forget about being at par with the West. The painful fact is that we are not even at par with the BRIC countries, that is Brazil, Russia, China, and South Africa. Sir, next month, the world leaders at the UN are going to adopt 17 goals and 169 targets under SDGs to be achieved by 2030. But before coming to the proposed Sustainable Development Goals, with your permission, let me touch upon some of the MDGs, the progress that we've made, the reasons behind our failure, and some suggestions on how to overcome these failures. The House is aware that there are 8 goals and 18 targets to be achieved by this year end. If you look at the MDGs India Country Report 2015 so far, we have been able to achieve only 4 or 5 targets. We are into August and we have only 4 months left to achieve the remaining targets, which makes it very difficult to achieve by the December 2015 deadline if we look at our track record. Who is responsible for this? Sir, I'm not playing any political blame game, nor interested in scoring any brownie points. All I would say is that we have to accept that we have collectively failed to achieve these goals. The next point I wish to make is relating to target 3 and 4 of goal number 2 and 3, which aims at children to complete a full course of primary schooling. Yes, we have achieved this. We have the net enrollment ratio of 88% in primary education. The apparent survival rate, that is children surviving up to 5th standard, is 93%. And youth literacy between the age group of 15 and 24 is 86%. But the problem is we are concentrating more on retaining children rather than giving them quality education. I will talk about youth literacy. Undivided Andhra Pradesh has the highest number of engineering colleges and lakhs of students coming out every year. But if you look at the percentage of employability in these students, it is minuscule. Even the Skill India report says that only 37% of graduates are employable in the country. It means there's a lack of quality in education, and the result is that graduates are applying even for clerk jobs. So all I would say is that along with concentrating on quantity, we should also concentrate on quality education. It is good that the present government is giving a lot of emphasis on skill development and has created a separate ministry for this purpose. I just attended a workshop yesterday that Shri Rajiv Pratap Rudy had conducted, and I hope that this will help us to increase the skilled people in the country from less than 3% today to at least 30% by 2019. Goal number 3 deals with the empowerment of women. The NSS 68th round 2011-12 results had estimated the percentage of share of females in wage employment in the non-agricultural sector as 19.3%, with corresponding figures for rural and urban areas at 19.9% and 18.7% respectively. This is an improvement in the status as the NSS 66th round, which was taken in 2009-10, had reported that the share of women in wage employment is 18.6% at the national level, and the corresponding estimates for rural and urban pegged at 19.6% and 17.6% respectively. It is projected that at this rate of progress, the share of women in wage employment can at best reach a level of about 22.28% by 2015, which is far from the targeted 50%. To achieve this, I suggest for consideration of the Honorable Prime Minister to pass 33% reservation for women in Lok Sabha and the state assemblies, and also 50% reservation in all local bodies. This would go a long way in empowering women and achieving this target. Secondly, I also recommend for reservation of women, particularly SC and ST and OBCs in the private sector, to empower them financially. Thirdly, one of the indicators to achieve this goal is to have equal ratio of girls to boys in primary, secondary, and tertiary education. As I said earlier, we have been able to achieve universalization of education. With the government's initiative of giving emphasis on education for girl child through the Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, I'm sure that we can eliminate gender disparity in primary, secondary, and in all levels of education very soon and match with the parameters of UNESCO. With regard to target 10 of goal number 7, I would say that we are better placed as far as providing drinking water is concerned. Of course, there are some villages or mandals which are still suffering in getting safe drinking water. For example, we have 757 rural habitations, including 13 habitations from my district of Guntur, in 10 districts of AP affected with fluoride. They need to be provided with safe drinking water. With regard to sanitation, I would say that the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan would definitely achieve this target in a year or so. Coming to sustainable development. Sustainable development has been defined as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. SDGs cover much broader range of development issues such as poverty, hunger, improving health, education, climate change, protecting forests, etc., when compared to MDGs. There are 17 goals with 169 targets. As I do not have the luxury of time to discuss each and every goal and target, I only wish to touch upon some of the important ones. First, I come to goal 1 and 2, which deals with ending poverty in all its forms, ending hunger, food security, and improved nutrition. There are various factors behind India's poverty and hunger. India is estimated to have 1/3 of the world's poor, as per 2013 estimates. 37% of India's 1.3 billion people fall below the international poverty line, which is $1.25 US per day. This is not my figure, sir. This is the figure of the Planning Commission. As per the WHO, the World Health Organization, 98,000 people die from diarrhea each year in our country. It is due to lack of sanitation, nutrition, and safe drinking water. Goal 2 also deals with sustainable agriculture. Here, I wish to submit that 20% of the fruits and vegetables are going waste in our country, and this is a very conservative estimate. It may be much higher than that also. If you calculate this in terms of money, it comes to nearly 13,500 crores. If you add grains to it, then the wastage comes to 44,000 crores every year, sir, in food wastage. This is directly contributing to food inflation, and successive governments are failing to stop this monumental wastage. If we stop this, we can provide nutritious foods to many of our poverty-stricken people, which constitute 37% of our population. For this, we have to develop cold chain facilities, food parks, and food processing industries in the country. To give example of my own state, undivided AP has the highest number of food processing units at 9,500 units. But it is not the case when it comes to other states. So the government has to push in the private sector in this area, which will considerably reduce the food wastage in the country. Secondly, this government has resolved to take the benefits of Social Security to the last person in queue to reduce poverty, end hunger, and provide them with food security. And the JAM Trinity, the Jan Dhan Yojana Aadhaar Mobile Trinity, is one of the biggest pieces of reform ever attempted in the country. It aims to directly transfer subsidies to the accounts of the beneficiary, thereby check diversion, corruption, and pilferage in the subsidies. I am confident in the years to come, we will be able to remove poverty and hunger from the map of this country. The Government of India has also taken up Swachh Bharat on a mission mode and aims to accomplish the vision of a clean India by 2nd October 2019, the 150th birth anniversary of the father of our nation, by spending 62,000 crores. I'm confident that this will wipe out the basic health hazards that the poor of this country are facing and achieve goal number 3 of the SDGs. Sir, I now come to goal number 4, which deals with quality education. Goal 3 aims to ensure healthy life, and goal 5, which deals with gender equality and empowerment of girls and women. Under the MDGs, we only talked under goal 2 about the universalization of primary education. But here, we are talking about inclusive and equitable quality education and to promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Here, I'm a little bit disappointed because philanthropy in India is yet to take off. If you look globally, philanthropists spend between 2 to 5% of their net worth annually towards charitable activities. But here in India, it is between 0.7 and 1.7%. Secondly, in spite of the fact that we have doubled the number of NGOs when compared to schools, 250 times the number of government hospitals, each NGO covers 400 people as against one policeman for 709 people. We are still struggling to provide quality education, providing health and empowering women and girls. These are the statistics as per the CBI, which has collected this information. So the point I am trying to drive at is that we have enough people, but lack of commitment to improve the conditions of the people. But I am confident that we would achieve this since the government has made it mandatory for all companies under the Companies Act to spend 2% of the average profit of the last 3 years when turnover is more than 1,000 crores or net worth of 500 crores or more, and a net profit of 5 crores or more to spend on CSR activities. The CSR activities can be in the area of education, gender empowerment, health, eradicating poverty, and others. I think next month we will get the first results of amounts spent by various companies under the CSR to be able to understand what the impact has been. But one estimate shows that around 25,000 crores a year would be spent through the corporate philanthropy. And I am confident we will make a huge impact on achieving these goals. Sir, goal number 6 deals with water and sanitation, which is very vital for humankind. This goal is giving us time and says that by 2030, every country has to achieve access to adequate and equitable sanitation and hygiene for all, and end open defecation by paying special attention to the needs of women and girls and those in vulnerable situations. As I said earlier, we have already started the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan to provide sanitation facilities to every family, including toilets, solid and liquid waste disposal systems, village cleanliness, and safe and adequate drinking water supply by 2nd October 2019. So if we implement this with commitment, we need not wait even until 2030, as proposed by the UN. We can achieve this by 2019 itself. Here, one point I wish to make is to keep the constructed toilets functional. I am saying this because as per the baseline survey of 2013 by the ministry, 20% of toilets are defunct, and the percentage is as high as 66% in Jharkhand and 59% in Chhattisgarh. So this has to be looked at, sir. And as per the report of the Estimates Committee, 7 crore people in the country across 6 states are suffering from arsenic in the groundwater, and there are many blocks which are affected with fluoride. I request the Honourable Minister of Drinking Water and Sanitation to provide sufficient funds to address this problem. I also suggest for consideration of the Government of India to permit spending MP-led funds for providing drinking water, taking up projects and schemes to remove arsenic and fluoride content from the water. Goal number 8 deals with providing productive employment and decent work. Setting up of a separate ministry for skill development is one clear indication in which the government wants to move. The government's aim of replacing the existing national skill policy with a new one clearly indicates in which direction it wants to go. As per one estimate, India needs 500 million skilled people by 2022. With 70% of our population living in rural areas, this is where we need to focus in order to achieve these numbers. We need to align, there needs to be alignment between skill development and industrial development. There's no point in creating jobs where we have to then bring people from rural areas to take up those jobs. It's much better to create those jobs where we have the people who can be trained and skilled and provide them those jobs, sir. There are other goals which are likely to be approved by the UN if all the countries agree to them. But there are some problems in accepting all the goals as they are too unwieldy. The UK and Japan have already expressed their reservations on accepting all the 17 goals. The UK's Prime Minister has publicly said that he wants 12 goals at the most, and he would be happy if they are limited to only 10. It is not only governments, but also some NGOs have expressed their reservations, saying that they are too many. Anyway, we'll have to wait and see what the final outcome will be at New York next month. But I feel that the goals that I have talked about are the important ones and will have to be a part of the SDGs, as they are at the core for humanity, human dignity, and human development. I am confident, as has rightly been said by the Honourable Prime Minister, that unless we reinforce the priority of MDGs through the principle of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, and work together overcoming poverty, gender inequality, lack of sanitation, child mortality, etc., we'll continue to lag behind. But with the change of guard led by Shri Narendra Modi ji, I am confident that we will achieve the MDGs by next year. The MDGs by next year with cooperation from civil society, and private sector through their CSR activities and also the SDGs before the deadline of 2030. With these words, I conclude my observations. Thank you very much, sir.
Sri